What was the worst job interview you've had? The interviewer insisted on knowing why I'd left graduate school. Now, I had left graduate school because my advisor died in a car accident and the whole small department was thrown for a loop and no one seemed to know or care what was going to happen to me or my just started research project. The asshole interviewer wouldn't even accept my advisor died suddenly and dug into the gory details until I was almost in tears, even intimating that I must have had feelings for my advisor. I couldn't wait to get out of there, and in my haste to leave I knocked some solutions off a cart, which had no business being in his office BTW on my way out. I'd never been so humiliated in my life. After that, I was sure I'd never get a job in science. At an interview for a tech startup, they asked me, if you could be any animal, what would you be? I answered otter because fun, active, work well with their hands and cute as peep. They really debated whether or not to hire me because of that answer because, and I quote, we only hire predators, never prey. And they weren't sure how to quantify an otter because none of them had ever paid the least bit of attention to any sort of animal documentary or read biology or visited a zoo recently. God, that job sucked hard. Otters are pretty brutal. They will absolutely peep up. Company was downsizing. All employees in a specific, yet exclusive division were fired and ordered to reapply for their position plus 2 other jobs in the company. You'd either get one of those jobs or be terminated. The subsequent interviews were conducted with a manager and in-house person. First interview in executive suite. Manager asks, why aren't you applying for this key supervisory slot? I had listed it second on my list. I would prefer to stay in my expertise in which I won a national award. Ours. I didn't know awards like that existed. Second interview. Current boss likes me for my existing job for which I was heavily recruited from another company. Ours. Wow. So you're the guy who does this job? I had no idea a real person did it. Third interview. Our person says he's never heard of my division, or that employees actually worked at night. I had listed this job in which I merely served as a minor manager as third on my preferences. Really didn't want it, but had to list 3. The results. I was retained, but transferred to the third dead-end day job. My old award-winning job was given to an aging staffer who never worked in that position, or had a clue. The supervisor job went to a brilliant colleague who wanted and deserved it. I quit very soon thereafter, and joined a bigger company with better benefits. Skill pays off. After all that, my old company, seeing the error of its ways, in lost production and general lack of ability, offered me a bonus to return. Nope. And I'm returning the corporate knife you stuck in my back. I drove an hour away to an interview at 8:00 a.m. I waited outside the interviewer's office until 8:30 am with no one to tell me where to go or where she was. Finally, another employee walks by and I ask if they know where this woman is to interview me. They had no idea where she was, why she was late, and told me if she wasn't there yet, I should leave because she probably forgot. I decide 45 minutes is the cutoff, especially standing in a government building looking like a creep waiting. 8:45 on the dot she rushes in, flustered, wet hair, and in casual yoga pants. With all the resurgence of patience I could muster, I greeted her and was met with a passive-aggressive scolding of how the interview was at 9, not 8. I triple-checked the email asking me to interview, and it was 8. We had conducted a phone interview and she followed up with an email request to an in-person interview at 8. I was 100% positive on this. I hate being late. Even with this. And I did say, I'm certain you said 8 a.m. Mom, she wasn't having it. Conversely, she also went on about why she was late. Surmounting in. She went to the gym and forgot her underwear to change into and had to stop at a store and buy new ones after working out before coming to work. She told me this in the first 5 minutes. Why? I didn't ask her. Regardless, she looks at my resume, apparently for the first time, because she proceeds to tell me how it is unimpressive and my graduate studies should have yielded numerous publications after 5 years in my field. Most don't publish until after 3 to 4 years. Even still, she kept saying how I had moved up the interview time, showed me the workspaces, and told me I probably wouldn't be interested in what they do there. I politely told her I had driven, at her request, to be there and interview for employment. I was very interested. She waved me off. As we left, I just tried to hold it together. I was very poor and very desperate for a job. Thanked her, and she told me how great it is to work for the government, how good the benefits, the pension, the time off are. On and on. She said, if you can find an opening working for the government, you should try to check it out and get hired on. Holla up. I just looked her in the face and said, yes, ma'am. That was my hope with today's interview. Thank you. And left. And sat in my car and bawled the whole drive home like the desperate loser I was. That was a low one, to be sure. Can't imagine somebody who has obtained a graduate degree feeling like a loser. You have a random Redditor who doesn't want to hear you talk about yourself like that. This story seems to imply you're incredibly smart with a good and honest heart. Be proud. I drove 2 hours for the interview. Got there and the interviewer was off sick and hadn't told anyone about me coming in. Got back in my car and drove the 2 hours home. Withdrew my name from consideration. Was invited for an IT helper position when I was 17. Would help fix computers for people at a shoddy PC fix shop. They asked me what's the first thing you check if a customer calls and says their screen doesn't turn on. I said, well, you gotta check if they have it plugged into a socket. They laughed and said thank you, that will be it. Then led me to the door and gently pushed me out. That's the right answer. Not if you wanna make money out of people's clumsiness/tiredness/distraction. Right answer is to tell the customer to bring their broken screen to the shop. Keep it for, let's say, a week. And then tell them that, after hours of hard work, you found out there's no issue with it, and that they should check if it was properly plugged. Or, if you wanna be more offensive, ask if they made sure to turn it on the right way. And then, you hit them with a hefty bill for your efforts. Happened to me as a costumer more times than I'll admit. Guess enough people got tired of that technician that he went broke years ago. I drove an hour to be interviewed for a computer repair tech job at a rental company, and 3/4 of the way through the interview they told me I was perfect for the position. However, they recently removed the position altogether. They then asked if I'd be willing to repair furniture instead until the position opened again. This was quite a while ago, maybe about 2010, and the recession was still hitting the job market pretty badly. Here I am, graduated from college a few years before, and looking for anything. I interviewed for a job calling people trying to recruit them for 2-year college. I think it was National American University. I had experience with customer service and some phone work doing tech support at my college, and this would be within my abilities. About halfway through the interview, I could tell it was going poorly. The guy interviewing me was asking me to give a sales pitch on recruiting, and I was failing. We got to the end, and he was upfront about saying I wouldn't be a good fit for what they needed. However, he did give me a bunch of great advice on how to properly interview and to be able to sell myself to a prospective employer. He even did a little coaching session with me. I knew he could see I was desperate and I was unemployed, and he took time to help me out for my future attempts. I did take his advice and was able to get a decent job eventually. I have always used the tips he gave me, and they have helped me greatly. So to that guy, thanks.